Nobody has the power and authority over your life. No guru, no priest, no rabbi, no mother, no father, no one, not even God. That you are your own best authority.
And so it's with great pleasure that on the occasion of her bat mitzvah and in honor of her 13th birthday, that we invite to this podium Tammy Feldstein to share with us her views on the life and ideals of Eleanor Roosevelt.
Completely and phenomenally organized.
Oh, I had the best bat mitzvah ceremony when I was 13 years old. And I remember standing up in front of the congregation. All these people were looking at me, and this movement, this feeling that I had the power to captivate them and teach them and celebrate together. And from that age, when I was 13 years old, I knew I wanted to be a rabbi. And I adored my rabbi. And so I really wanted to be like him, to do what he was doing. I couldn't think of anything in the whole world that would be better than that. And I was right.
People were people.
My name is Tamara Kolton, and I live in Birmingham, Michigan. And I'm a rabbi and a psychologist and an author. So I began my life part of a congregation of humanistic Jews. And humanistic Judaism is essentially an atheist form of Judaism, an approach that celebrates all that is cultural of the Jewish people, but without God. So it's pretty radical. I was the first person to be ordained a humanistic rabbi. All the other rabbis had come from other movements. And so the fear was that there will be no job. There were very few positions. And how would I find work? And what temple would hire me? And but I just absolutely believed that if I followed my own truth, that everything else would follow. What humanistic Judaism was missing for me was soul, spirit, and that we survive death. And as I got older, I began to have experiences with spirit, with feeling the presence of my grandmother after she died, with a few other people after they died. And then I met somebody who really changed my life. And she actually, ironically, also grew up at the Birmingham Temple. She's become a dear friend, and she's a medium. She calls herself a shaman. And she began to bring me, this sounds really out there, but this is what happened, messages from my rabbi after he died. They were so powerful, they were so important, they were so urgent for my own healing. This began a process for me of opening up to what I really believed. And I don't believe that I don't believe there's a judge. I don't believe we are ever punished. I believe that there is an eternal loving energy. I believe that we survive death. I believe that we are a soul, that we come into a body. I am more and more believing that we contract to be here, that we make an agreement, and that our soul's purpose is also that which we need to learn the most. And those beliefs really had no place in my temple. They were just way outside the boundary of humanistic Judaism. I still don't really fit into any place. I don't really fit anywhere. I'm a little, we call it a Boo-Jew, Buddhism and Jewish. I like, yoga and all those messages. I have my feminine divine thing going. I'm very Jewish. Shabbos is very important to me. I'm very proud of the Jewish people. And I'm an interfaith rabbi. I do mostly interfaith marriage oranges. I believe that love is the highest good. So I'm this interesting bird flying around here. I yearned to write a book, and I would lay in my bed and I would think about titles. What would it be called? How would I describe this feeling that's moving through me?
We're at my book launch. Look at all these people, say hi. And we're celebrating being brave, following your truth, and the launch of Oranges for Eve.
I came up with Oranges for Eve for two reasons. One is the book and my whole approach to the feminine divine and feminine spirituality. The myth of Eve is the epic story of how the light of women was constricted thousands of years ago and ever since, and creating a growth in a post-patriarchal world, a different imagining of what God and what women can bring to religion and spirituality. It felt like apples to oranges. And it was also truth versus lies, which is apples to oranges, flipping the stories. So although we learned about Eve, that she brought sin, that we should be ashamed of her, that there's anything inside of us as girls, as women, that we should be ashamed of. Those are the poisonous apples, and I wanted to find the opposite. So the juicy orange appeared, the opposite of the poisonous apple, that we were going to reclaim our power and that we were going to no longer participate in any lie that stole our joy. And those have been lies for thousands of years that we've been ingesting. But there's another reason. There is a very powerful, wonderful urban legend that an Orthodox, a very religious, observant rabbi was asked, does a woman belong on the bima? And a bima is Hebrew for the altar or stage. And his answer was very flippant and sarcastic. He said,
A woman belongs on the bima like an orange on a Seder plate. So as a stick it to you, especially American Jews, Uma, do you do this? We put an orange on our Seder plate. So this is known in the United States in progressive Jewish homes to say, yeah, we think an orange belongs on a Seder plate. And women belong in the same positions of authority and power as men in our Jewish tradition. And so that's the orange.
my belief is that Eve is with us, and that as we claim our power, she is pushing us. And so I felt this like hand at my back pushing me forward, saying, go, follow your truth. And I did, and it's been almost 8 years, and I never regretted it. I never regretted it. That's the most amazing thing to me of this whole journey, that I worried. You said, what was I afraid of? I wasn't just afraid, I was terrified that I would regret my decision, because I walked out of my temple at the height of my career, the height of my salary, when I had wonderful health insurance, and there were many wonderful things about being a rabbi. And I was the rabbi at the temple where I grew up. So leaving there was literally locking the door on my Garden of Eden. So the feminine divine first asks us to reimagine what God could be with a feminine presence. And so when I ask you to imagine the feminine divine, I will ask you to imagine someone in your life who loved you just because you were born. Someone who you feel so safe with, or felt so safe with, that you didn't have to earn her approval. You would never be afraid of losing her approval. And someone who absolutely nourished and adored you. That's the energy of the feminine divine. It is the cosmic great mother.